I did the procedure that I'm going to tell you to do. But no, I did not ask the question that you have to ask to track whether you're hosting this disease, okay? I did my own question. And I'll tell you exactly what I did, okay? You were on the hub and you clicked on this movie, yes? Otherwise, maybe you found this on YouTube and you haven't known what I'm talking about. You know, you've listened to all this whole sequence of part 2 of this movie and you're going like, what? Who is this guy and what's he saying, you know? And if so, I recommend that you go to, curedrive.org and get started. And at some point, you'll end up back here. But anyway, assuming you're doing this the right way. So you were on the hub, and if you just look, this opened a separate window, I guess, when you clicked on it. And if you look at the top of the hub, what you're going to see is a really nice little navigation bar up there. And there's 2 things on it that are really important. One says lists and one says lessons. Okay, there's lists in the book. There's like 3 or 4 lists in the book. Well, the list of lists on this web college would print out at 6 pages, 2 columns, small print. Okay? We use lists a lot. Why? Because, hello? What do you mean, why do we use lists? We love lists. Why do we love lists? Because God opens our finger on the right thing on the list. So we don't have to read through massive amounts, like thousands of pages of text. That's why we like lists. They help us find things, Like that, you should have put that together for yourself by now, okay? We have a list of entrance points, for example. We have a list of God connectors. We have... Anyway, okay. You'll find out. You'll look at the list of lists. Meanwhile... Meanwhile, I went to the list of lessons. It's the table of contents of lessons. And I did the procedure. And this is the procedure that you use to know that you're not hosting the disease anymore. And what I did is I asked a question. And the question was, is there anything here... my finger will open on, or my finger will move on whatever, or I'll get a feeling about whatever it is that could interfere with me manifesting someone coming along who is functional enough to put this on prime time, national television in the United States or any other major country. Or even a minor country would be okay as long as they're the one who goes on and teaches it. or in fact, I would really rather have them go on and teach it anyway. Okay, so that's what, wherever it is, the United States or any other place, but that's the question I asked. Is there anybody who's functional enough, is there anything on this list that would interfere with me manifesting, connecting with somebody who's functional enough to do this? And I ran my finger down the list, and what I got was the list of immune dysfunctions. Funny thing, the list of immune dysfunctions is in this book. So I guess I was back to basics. And I went down the list of immune dysfunctions, and that's when I realized, or rediscovered, or re-realized that I lie. And I do. I love to lie, and it has destroyed my life and kept me dysfunctional. No kidding. And I just love it. It's compulsive. I can't stop. And because when I looked at the list of immune dysfunctions and ran my finger down it, my finger opened on lies. And here's what it said. I'll just tell you that next to lies, there's a parenthesis. And it says can'ts, tries, buts, shoulds, helps, judgments, needs, habits, subversions, discouragement, facts, opinions, ideas, and why questions. Among other things. And I find myself making up and or telling lies all the time. And that's it. You know? You were wondering why I'm telling you this? It is because this is how you find out whether or not you're hosting the disease. Now, a good question is, how do I remove this immune dysfunction of lying? And so the first thing I did was, I just said, do I have the immune dysfunction in any of my bodies? And I got yes. And I tested mental, emotional. A few of the bodies came up: universal mental, universal emotional, universal physical. And I just removed the lies from those bodies, was one thing I did. So it always goes back to the bodies, doesn't it? And then I tested, are there any things on this list that would give me a tendency to lie that I still have? And I tested for a few things. But then I was back at the table of contents of lessons at that point. See, I didn't actually test on the list of immune dysfunctions, which would have been probably a good thing to do too. Probably do that at some point. But another thing, I asked a question. See, you got to figure this stuff out for yourself. Nobody can explain this to you. But I asked another question. This was a very helpful question. I asked, are lies alarm bells? And I got yes. That when I find myself in the lying mode, that I'm hosting other things. And if I take those out, I'm not going to want to lie anymore. It'll just be gone. See, so now you know why I told you this about myself. I bet you were wondering, well, did he lie about the negative medical tests? No, that would be them lying, see. But I'm like a pathological liar. It's just that it's subclinical. Like I'm not the kind of pathological liar you see in a shrink's office, talking about all the magic, huge architectures of stuff he makes up. I'm this little sneaky kind that, you see in the garden variety, that you see all around you, and maybe, probably, I mean, most people have this problem. But in my case, it's killing. I can't expect to, or maybe, I can expect to manifest. Actually, see, that's the thing, is that I can expect to manifest someone coming along to put this on TV, no matter what condition I'm in. But maybe God is protecting me from that, because with this kind of dysfunction, I would really hurt myself if I got into, the stress would ramp up. If I had this tendency, the stress would ramp up to a killing level. So, maybe God just loves me too much. I don't know. Okay, so what it comes down to is, have you ever wondered, like, okay, when you looked at this web college, what was the thought that went through your, because you just got here. I presume you're a new colleague, okay? What was the thought that went through your mind when you looked at the hub, let's say?